Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I'm Wigwam, and this is my YouTube channel, which is becoming increasingly more and more about ninjas, as I've been streaming The Messenger and reviewing Ninja Gaiden, and now Aragami Shadow Edition. Aragami was initially released on PC way back in October of 2016, making this game about 2.5 years old, but today we're going to be looking specifically at the newest release on the Switch for the Shadow Edition. So anything I mention in this review is very much specific to that Switch version on the Switch hardware with the Switch Pro controller, and there's going to be some issues. In case you can't tell, that's why I'm being so specific. Aragami is the first release from Linceworks Studios, and since then it seems like they've mostly just been keeping up to date with this game, releasing DLCs and re-releasing on new consoles and things. The latest release comes in at $30 in the eShop, which is kind of a lot because games like Celeste are $20, Hollow Knight is $15, and even Aragami Base Edition on Steam is only $20. So let's see if Aragami has what it takes to be worth a $30 price tag on the Nintendo eShop. In Aragami Shadow Edition, you play the Shadow Spirit Aragami, who wields the power of the shadows and stabbing people to clear his way through levels. When he's not murdering guards in cold blood, Aragami likes to spend his time collecting scrolls for upgrade points and breaking light orbs to lower barriers to go to the next area. Aragami's shadow powers start with the incredible ability to teleport into the shadows and to create shadows anywhere there's not bright light. This means you can pretty much teleport anywhere in the game, which is pretty damn useful. Apart from this, Aragami features a wide variety of skills that can be unlocked from the always original skill tree. Most of his offensive skills can be broken down into murder people from slightly farther away than usual, and most of his defensive skills can be broken down into actually useful sometimes. Most of Aragami can be summed up like this: enter a level, sneak past a bunch of guards and archers, or murder them for points, get to the next area, and repeat. That is about 90% of the game, right there. There are some thankfully few and far between platforming sections with falling platforms and a few boss battles throughout the game. So focusing on the stealth that makes up about 90% of the game, I'd have to say it's just not that fun. There are some major issues here with the difficulty versus reward for the player. Basically, all the stealth in this game is kind of a joke. There's no real combat options at all. You walk up to guards, press the Y button to murder them, and that's it. Even if they see you approach, you still have a huge window to get your attack in before they can retaliate. I mean, like, they pull out their sword, slowly unsheath it, hold it up, charge up their light attack, and finally swing. All within this window. You can just literally walk up and press the Y button to murder them. You do quickly start to unlock some traps and ranged weaponry, but the fact is that most of these just take so much extra effort to use versus just killing a guard normally that there's no point. Why would I lay down a trap, use my bells to bait the guard over, wait for them to walk over, hope to God that only one of them comes over because the trap only kills one guard at a time, then activate the trap remotely to kill the one guard? I could do all of this to get one kill, or I could just sneak up behind them and, say it with me, press the Y button. The only time this doesn't work is when two guards are talking to each other. Like, that is the only time. They can be extremely close to each other and not talking, and you're totally good to pick them off. So to balance this out, the game tries to make it impossible to fight any guards head on. All the guards can one-shot kill you. This doesn't really work for a few reasons though. Number one, the guards are morons. Watch me totally evade this guard with my advanced 200 IQ strategy of walking around a tree that's clearly in plain sight of him, and then he stares at this wall while I walk up and kill him. Oh, and it gives me the sneak kill even though he was totally alerted to my presence 2 seconds ago. Speaking of which, you may notice the points popping up for every kill. These points, along with a few other stipulations, like if anyone finds a dead body, how many enemies did you kill, how many scrolls did you find, are all compiled at the end to give you a score for the level. However, you may have also noticed that all the kill types give you the same number of points, so really, you're just graded on finding extras, killing everyone, and not letting your dead bodies pile up so high that a moron guard literally trips over them. It's a shame, really, because if you don't care about getting high scores in this game, you will just pretty much fly through it. You may get killed a few times, but some levels can really be run through with no issue at all. especially with your shadow abilities. The shadow powers are a very cool idea, but having both the teleport and the ability to throw down shadows to teleport too within the first 30 minutes of gameplay makes the game so much easier than it really should be. It may have felt better to add these powers towards the end of the game as you become more skilled and powerful. As it is, running and teleporting across a level is a totally legit and very easy strategy. To limit this a bit, you do have limited shadow energy at any given time. This will be depleted both by using it and by standing in bright lights. It can be recharged by standing in the shadows for about 5 to 7 seconds. Your special abilities also have a limited number of uses that can only be refilled at certain points across the level. This tries to create some balance to the game, but it's not enough to overcome the sheer stupidity of the AI. Overall, the game was filled with creative and very solid ideas. The shadow powers were cool. Forcing you into stealth over action is a good idea. It all just comes back to a really terrible AI that makes the game just not challenging or fun. But this game actually isn't all bad. Just the gameplay, which is, I always say is literally the most important part of any game ever. But let's talk about some of the redeeming qualities. So often in indie games, we come across games with lackluster presentation but solid gameplay. Aragami Shadow Edition to me was very much the opposite. Visually, Aragami is a wonderfully cel-shaded adventure. The character models, various locations, and enemy designs, while repeated often, are all very solid. From an indie studio, this is a great use of 3D graphics, and I can say I was genuinely impressed. More than just the graphics themselves, there are some excellent design choices that have been made in the game. To be blunt, I think Aragami looks badass. Kinda like in like a 12-year-old I love ninjas kind of way, but I am 12 on the inside and I do love ninjas, so I'm gonna stick with it. 2 thumbs up, I love the design. And his looks are more than just cool, they're also functional. His cape shows you how much power you have left, what ability you have selected, and how many uses you have left of that ability. You also change color based on whether where you're standing is considered to be cloaked in shadow or exposed to the light. And there's the story, which is this game's greatest strength in my opinion. I never like to spoil any story beats, especially when I think it's the strongest reason to play the game. But I will say it has a satisfactory payoff to a well-told story, even if it is a bit predictable. The sound design in this game is also solid enough. I didn't have any issues with it, but it didn't stand out much to me either, so I'm not gonna go too in-depth about it. Today's Everything Else section is going to focus on one major issue for the most part, and it is the frame rate in this specific Switch version of the game. It's bad. It's real bad. Quite frankly, this game just doesn't play well on the Switch at all. The frame rate issues in this game are astounding to me. Every time you walk into a new area, the frame rate drops to nearly nothing, and it stays there for a while. I never got particularly fluid feeling frame rate from any point in this game, but at times it was so bad I considered quitting altogether. Even after that initial load-in, which is unacceptably bad, it doesn't always get better until you start to kill enemies or progress through the level a bit, but the stutter is always there. I know the Switch isn't the most powerful piece of hardware, but if it can run Breath of the Wild, I feel like it should be able to run this 2.5-year-old indie game without this much of a struggle. And putting the frame rate issues aside, which is quite frankly hard to do, this game was clearly not designed with a controller in mind. Moving the camera with the controller just lacks a sense of fluidity and smoothness. You particularly feel this on the few and far between platforming sections. It's clunky and your biggest enemy is just managing to get your cursor to point at the next platform. Overall, this game is playable enough on the controller, but you can just tell this was not the intended or preferred way of playing the game as you struggle to line up teleport after teleport, or you casually walk off of a cliff, or fall into the water for the 1,000th time and die because the movement sucks. So in conclusion, that's pretty obviously a no on the Switch port recommendation. If you really like stealth games, and you want to try some interesting ideas, some cool mechanics, and just want to hear a decent story, I would maybe recommend to you very specific people to try Aragami on the Steam when it's on sale. For everybody else, I'm unfortunately going to have to give a pass on Aragami, but that's just my opinion. What did you think of the game if you played it? It is 2.5 years old, so there is a chance you've played it already. If not, what are your favorite stealth games? Let me know down below in the comments, and as always, I love all of your beautiful faces. I'll catch you guys in the next video, or review, or stream, or whatever it is. Bye-bye! I'm leaving now. Forgot my coffee.